Phenomena. Phenomena.
Hello, this is Dino Lopez. In this screencast, I'm going to show you how to create an easy Rails shell application in 10 easy steps. Basically, we want to start showing what is a shell command line, passing some parameters, some input to the command line interface of a Linux Unix shell server. Later, we want to create a basic Ruby script and see how can we execute this Ruby script and parsing those shell commands. And finally, we want to follow the 10 easy steps, and we want to be ending with an easy Rails shell applications. So let's get started. At the beginning, we have a little shell. It's connected via SSH to the machine, and actually you can enter commands. This is just very quick way to manage servers for system administrators. In this case, let me type a command, very typical, uname -a, and basically just want to send the commands to the server. The server is going to process the input and return a result out of the command. I can actually retrieve different kinds of commands. In this case, I'm retrieving the partitions from the file system, or actually just basic commands just like the date. Now, this is interacting with the shell. How can we do this in Ruby? Well, very easy. Let's create, for example, a file called myruby.rb, and for the purposes of this tutorial, let me create a my command variable, which is going to be, let's say, the same command, df-h, showing the partitions on my computer. And let's say my execution of the file is going to be, the command that Ruby uses is the %x, and whatever is in between these brackets is going to be executed. So let's go ahead and enter and parse whatever we put in the my command, which in this case is going to be the df-h, showing the definition of the partition. And finally, let's print the output. So line number one says my command is df-h. This could be any command on the shell. My exec actually is going to parse whatever is in my command, escape it, and just execute it. It's similar like the function in PHP, like system or Perl. And finally puts the result directly to the standard output, which in this case is the screen. Let's go ahead and run it. And there it goes. Execute the df-h, and basically this is the result of the command. If I edit it, let's say to do another command like I did earlier, uname-a, there it goes, executes the command. So this way we see how can we use the %x to parse something to the variable and execute it directly from the command line. Well, that's pretty cool. How about if we create a Rails applications to do the exactly same thing? Well, here's the recipe. The first thing you want to do is going to create a Rails application called shell. Let's go ahead and do it. Rails shell using the database MySQL for this case. There it goes, very quick. Let's change to that shell, and there's the standard Rails structure. Let's go ahead and edit the config database YAML. For the purpose of this tutorial, I already have it copied from and created prior to this screencast, so I don't expose my user and my password. So let's go ahead and copy that. And step number 4 is RakeDB create. Let's create a database. Since I have my user and password in my database, this should, when we run the command, it's going to be the Ruby generate scaffold command. Execute is going to be the name of the input of our command. It's going to be in a string variable where we want to parse the command. So it's going to be execute. It's going to be a string type. And if we run this, the scaffold is going to generate the appropriate accessors and the views and everything for this particular controller. Let's run the migration step number 6. And it will run very quickly, smooth, no problems. Step number 7 tells us to delete the public index HTML. So let's go ahead and delete the public index HTML. There's not going to be default unless we configure the routes here and we make the map route controller the commands. So let me go ahead and edit config routes and make the route the commands, which, as we can see in the beginning of the file, is already mapped. So that will be okay. Let's go ahead and put the magic. This is where we edit the controller, and basically we want to add in the show method the execution. I know it's kind of hack because we don't typically need to do this in a show view, but for the purpose of this demonstration it'd be okay. Let's go ahead and add the application controllers, command controllers. There it goes. The command result is going to be executing, and this is again not probably the place to do it because it's actually overloading this controller, but for the purpose of this demonstration will be okay. And we're parsing and rendering whatever is parsed in the command, and it's the command execute, which is actually retrieving it. So we want to go ahead and run it, and that'll be perfectly fine. So we can save that. And finally, let's go ahead and make the result accessible in the here's the view where we show the command that we execute, but we also show in the command result. So what happens from this is we're done. If you run the Ruby script server, it's going to start in port 3000, and let me go ahead and open there it goes, the commands. Let's go ahead and start with the first command that we type, which is actually the df-h, showing the partitions. There it goes. It run and execute all the partitions in the file system right there in a web interface. It's stored so we can see what command was running previously. Let's go ahead and run the uname. That's a. There it goes again. It's running without a problem. Now, beware, this looks really cool, and I can't wait to see some applications running between servers, interacting each other and kind of sending posts, you know, kind of ping pong, sending data in a REST way, sending commands back and forward, maybe status of the interfaces, traffic, memory, CPU usage, you name it. But there's a huge security risk here. You can actually do things like that, and you go straight to the kitchen and run command lines from the web interface. Not cool, not a good idea. Beware, make sure you secure your Rails applications no matter what. This is possible. You see how easy it was to introduce a very, very powerful command. Just beware of this. This can be useful, very helpful, but also can be very dangerous. So don't just overload and put code everywhere just because it looks cool or it will do something cool. Analyze your code, review your code, and especially, you know, enjoy the Ruby and the Rails world. Thank you and have a great day. Thanks for listening. Thank you again for teachmetocode.com and also Camtasia Studio for the great software to make it possible, this recording. Thank y'all.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
Well, there were parts of it that weren't very good, though.
It could have been a lot better.
I didn't really like it.
It was pretty terrible.
It was bad.
It was awful.
It was terrible.
Get him away!
Hey, boo!
Boo!